Hello, my name's Kevin Hind, and we've got another question on markets, a simple seminar question in which we're going to determine equilibrium and consider whether or not a good is a complement or substitute when we look at a demand equation. So let's have a look at the particular question. We've got what's called an inverse demand curve for product X, and it's given by the price of X. That's why it's called inverse demand. Normally you see Q as a function of Px, but here we've got Px as a function of Qx, so it's called an inverse demand curve. So Px is equal to 25 minus 0.005 Qx, and then we've got another bit here, plus 0.15 Py. Px represents price in pounds sterling per unit, and Qx represents the rate of sales in kilos per week for this particular good, and Py represents the selling price of another good, product Y, in pounds sterling per unit. And what we're also going to show you is that we've got an inverse supply curve of product X given by Px is equal to 5 plus 0.004 Qx, if we can say that right. And we've got two questions. Let's determine the equilibrium price and sales of X, but of course we need to know the price of Y in order for this equation to work out. And that makes it a lot simpler, and we're going to then determine whether or not X and Y are complements. In fact, the trick is you can actually tell by the nature of the sign, but we'll show you how to do it properly because we've got an inverse demand curve and we want to show it as a Q as a function of P rather than P as a function of Q. So here's our equation that we were given, just so it can help us remind what's going on. And the answer goes like this. So we were first of all asked to equate supply to demand, and because we're asked to calculate the equilibrium price and quantity, and we know that there's our demand curve, 25 minus 0.05 Q plus 0.15, and we were told that the price of Y was 10, and that's equal to the supply 5 plus 0.004 Q. Okay, I've dropped the X's here, but I'm sure you get the answer, get what's going on. So what you'd find out is that 21.5, when you rearrange this, is equal to 0.009 Q, and clearly Q is then equal to 2,388.9 units per week. We can determine the price from that, because at Q is equal to 2388.9. Price, going back to our original equation, again I've dropped this subscript X here, but price is equal to 25 minus 0.005 times the quantity, which we found out in equilibrium, plus 0.15 times 10, the number that we're given for the price of Y. And that means that the price of X is actually £14.56 a unit. So that's part of the answer. The other part of the answer is, can we solve? Can we tell what the price, what the relationship is between the Y and X? Because when we can solve for the quantity, we can solve for the quantity demanded as a function of price. In other words, turn this equation on its head. And the way we do that, so we want to say that Qx is equal to something, okay, and what we're doing is effectively taking, subtracting, adding Qx to both sides and subtracting Px from both sides. And when we do that, we've got Qx is equal to 25 plus 0.15 Py minus Px, is what we said, all divided through by 0.005. So we've got our equation in terms of Qx, and what that implies, of course, is that there is a direct positive relationship between Q, the quantity of X, and Py. Therefore, an increase in the price of Y generates an increase in the quantity demanded for good X at any value of Px, which of course implies that Y and X are substitutes. So clearly, if the price of if the price of Y goes up, you buy less of Y, you're going to buy more of X, which is a substitute, and that's the economic reasoning. So there we are, another little simple short question which I hope you've understood. Thanks very much for listening.